Hello, everybody. Welcome to this information session on our Master in Football Business and Management, our Master's degree in Football Business and Management. It is a pleasure to have all of you connecting here today. In just a moment, I will be asking you, where are you connecting from? Because we always like to know what corner of the world you're coming from. But we'll do that in just a second. I'll do a brief introduction on myself and who we are at SBI. As I was saying, we're really happy to have you here because what we do at SBI is we have educational programs that prepare you for a career in the football industry. This is our area of focus. This is our area of expertise. So if you are looking to either start or advance a career in football, you're at the right place, because we're going to be talking about that. And we're not just going to be talking about the master. We're also going to be talking about keys to get ahead in the football industry. So without any further ado, let me introduce myself. My name is Diego Valdez. I am the CEO and founder of the Sports Business Institute Barcelona. Now, most people know us as SBI for short. So if you hear us, people mention in the educational space SBI, they're referring to us. But of course, our full name is the Sports Business Institute, and we're based in Barcelona, Spain, one of the football capitals of the world. So it is a pleasure to engage with all of you tonight. I do want to make this session very interactive. I want to leave time for your questions. Like I said, not just about the program that we have to offer, but also about anything that you want related to your career. Perhaps you're at a stage right now where you're thinking that you want to transition into the football industry from another sector. Perhaps you recently graduated and you want to begin a career in football. Or maybe you're already working in the football industry, either on the business side or the performance side, and want to take your career to the next level. So if that's the case, you're at the right place, as I said before. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how we're going to structure the webinar tonight, which we should be done in approximately 45 minutes to an hour. So we're going to try to keep, the time tight so that we maximize, your time as well, and we respect your time. So in order to provide you a little bit of guidance as to how we're going to structure the webinar tonight, well, I'm going to do a brief introduction as to who we are at SBI. Some of you already know us, but many of you, perhaps it's the first time that you're engaging with us. So we want to provide you a brief overview of what we do at SBI. Secondly, like I said, I want to touch upon the keys to success in the football industry. And the reason why I want to touch upon this is because we've been doing this for over 10 years. We've been at SBI for over 10 years. And in that time frame, we've seen the patterns of success. We've seen what it takes to really get ahead in such a competitive sectors. And one of the things that I want to do today is I want to outline those factors so that you can begin thinking about how you can start filling those gaps. And those gaps are going to be different for everybody, because if you're already working in football, your gaps are going to be different than perhaps if you're transitioning from another sector or you're just starting out. Nevertheless, we focus on all of them. We focus on all the profiles. So that's what we're going to do when we touch upon the keys to success. And then finally, of course, and this is why you're here, we're going to talk about the Master in Football Business and Management. I'm going to introduce the program, tell you what it's all about, and answer any questions that you may have at the end, as you see there in the Q&A. So, like I said, I always like to make these sessions interactive. At SBI, we don't believe in having numbers, even if it's an information session like this. We want to know who you are, where you're connecting from, because that tells us, where we're reaching our different, candidates or potential candidates. So in the chat box, go ahead and type the city or the country where you're connecting from. And I always like to do this, as I said, because it's a great way to engage with the participants and know more from them. But it also tells us that the sound is coming through properly on your end. So if you want to go ahead and tell us, where you're connecting from, Brenda, Ibukun, Jacob, Joao, Jose, Lisa, Marija, Mauro. Hope now I'm not missing a few more, but tell me where you're coming from. Just type it in the chat box, the country or the city, and then that way I'll be able to see that it's coming through all right. So Lisa says she can't hear us. That's a pity, Lisa. I'm going to try and see if we can help you out there. Sam from Manchester, hi. Imkom from Nigeria. Okay, excellent. Zambia, Croatia, Marija, welcome. Jose from Madrid. Hola, Jose. Not so far away from us. Okay, great. So I see that the sound is coming through for most people except for Lisa. So Lisa, perhaps you want to try and log in and log out, and we can hopefully get a chance to engage with you with our sound. So yeah, if you can go ahead and sign out. I'm going to put a little message here in the chat. Okay, for those who can't hear me, try logging in and out. Many times it's just a question of the connection at the time you signed in wasn't as strong. So if you log out, you come back in, hopefully the sound is coming through. But for most people, we saw that that you can hear me all right. So we're going to move ahead, and hopefully, Lisa, you can join us and hear us once we move forward. Okay, great. So let's continue and tell you a little bit about what we do at SBI. Well, we've been helping professionals grow, network, and lead. That's our motto, that's our claim, because you begin at a phase where you understand, you gain knowledge, and you grow. You make connections, you build meaningful relationships, and then you come out prepared to lead change in your professional career and lead in the football industry. So that's the objective that we have at SBI. Brief summary, we've been in the market for over 10 years. And as you can see a little bit further on, and I'm going to show you, that has allowed us to position ourselves, to have a lot of relationships, a lot of contacts that, of course, we then offer to our students. We are based in Barcelona, Spain. So again, a football capital, as many of you know. And we offer online and blended executive education programs worldwide. So we offer programs that allow you to study from anywhere in the world, with the advantage that you always have a live class with a platform such as this one, where you're interacting with the speakers, where you're asking questions, where you're really as if you were in a classroom environment face-to-face. The only difference is that you're connecting from your own home in your own country. We've had the pleasure of helping over 3,000 students from 83 plus countries last time we checked, and I think we have 3 or 4 more since last year. But nonetheless, we reach a global base that allows us to have students from all over the world. And like I said, in these 10 years, our aim has been to be very industry oriented, making relationships with clubs, federations, leagues, tournaments, agencies, and professional football players, because we believe in what we call an SBI family, and we believe that everybody can help each other. So the more relationships that we build as an institute, the more we can offer you as students or potential students, which is what you want when you're entering an industry that is so competitive and that you need to have contacts, as we're going to see in just a moment. So that's who we are. Now, we like to call ourselves the family. And this is what I was mentioning before. Anytime you talk to, former students, people that know us in the industry, one of the things that comes out regularly as the feedback about SBI is personalized service. Anytime I did a webinar, anytime I did a course, a master's program with SBI, the overwhelming feedback that people give to others is, I felt as though I was really appreciated as an individual with my own needs, different than, another student that maybe had different needs or different gaps to fill. So that's what we do when we call ourselves an SBI family, that we really want to create relationships, and we want to build a network and a community that collaborates, that helps each other out. So here's a few pictures that you can see there, from time when we meet in our face-to-face events, obviously the online component, and then some of the students that participated in some of the conferences that we do worldwide. Now, one of the things that SBI will allow you to do, and this is because of the fact that we're very closely linked to many football organizations, is that a lot of professional football players opt for SBI's programs to do their education and to prepare themselves for the future. Now, this is great because obviously they're preparing for life after football. But for people that don't come from football or they come from the corporate world, it's a great advantage to be able to study with a professional footballer. So in the past 4 or 5 master programs that we've delivered, we've had at least one Premier League player. So when we're having class discussions, when we're discussing cases, it's very enriching to have someone who's inside the dressing room and who's going to be playing perhaps, one of the biggest football matches that are going to be seen worldwide. And there he is sitting and talking and discussing, as if it's, just any regular student, which they are. And that's the great thing about SBI, that no matter if you're very famous or rich as a football player, when you come into this environment, you're just another student and you're there to collaborate. And this is what happens with all these players. But of course, it's a great experience when you don't come from football, being able to tap into these contacts and to tap into the knowledge and the relationships that they bring to the table. Here's a few more for those that may be coming from other markets. Oriol Romeu, those that maybe know the Premier League, and of course from Spain and Catalonia and Barcelona. He played many years at FC Barcelona, then moved on to Chelsea and went on to a successful career in the Premier League with Southampton. And now he's back in Girona. So he's one of our students. And we also have Gerardo Torrado, who played many years, 2 or 3 World Cups with Mexico and the national team, and played in Sevilla, played in several European clubs, and then obviously with the Mexican national team. So these are a few of the sort of more high-profile, more well-known names, just so that you see who we have had as students. And then as speakers, a lot of people are surprised that sometimes, when they hear about SBI, they think, wow, I didn't know that you guys had a relationship with a guy like Javier Mascherano. So some of you may remember him from his time at FC Barcelona or Liverpool, perhaps. So now he's training the under-20 national team at Argentina. And he's one of our speakers in another program that we deliver. So there he is, as you can see. There's a screenshot of him coming in and talking to our students. Some of you that are perhaps a little bit older may remember Claudio Lopez, who played many years in Valencia. He also played in Italy, played in Mexico. And guys like Pablo Aimar, very successful career in Spain, in Portugal, of course, Argentina. So these are the guys that perhaps have more of a high-profile name that have come in and done some guest lectures and speaking to us about their experience in the football industry. And then for those that may be more connected to Italy or Argentina, Nicolas Burdizo, many years at Inter, now the sporting director, also one of our speakers. So again, just to show you that, when we talk about this, it's because we want to make sure that whoever comes and does our program has the opportunity to meet people from the industry, to collaborate with clubs, organizations, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to give you value as, your profile is enhanced and you're looking for opportunities, whether it's through a job in a sports organization or a football organization, or whether you want to take on an entrepreneurial project and perhaps start a business in the football industry. Now, again, in 10 years, we've had the pleasure of working with many, many people that have gone on to work in football organizations, or that have already started in football and then have moved on to a career in some of these clubs that you see here on screen. So this is a great advantage for us because we have tapped into many former students that now are working for the top Premier League clubs, the top La Liga clubs, clubs in Portugal, clubs in Turkey, clubs in Germany, leagues, federations, and of course many clubs in Latin America and the rest of Europe and the rest of the world. So again, why am I saying this? Not to say that SBI is so great and we're very, very high profile. Yeah, of course, we're very proud with the relationships that we have with these clubs, but we always have one objective in mind, and it's to serve. We are here to serve our candidates, our students, because that's our job. We don't believe in, having a program that we say it's so great and you just come in and with that diploma, it's going to be, something that you're going to magically have a job in football. No, of course, it takes time, it takes effort. But the more relationships, the more contacts, the more network you have, of course, it's going to benefit you. So we know that very well. We know that our success as an institute depends on the success of our students and our potential students that are considering these programs. Because if we don't deliver, then that's reflected negatively upon us. So we're constantly, in parallel to the programs that we deliver, we're constantly signing new partnerships, building new relationships so that we can offer that to our students. And of course, these are just a few of the clubs and the crests and the logos that you can highlight, but there's many, many more across the world, leagues, federations in countries and regions that perhaps are not as well known, but that we've had students from many, many countries in federations, clubs, and of course, some of the top ones, as you can see here. Now, why are you here today? Most likely you're here today because you're at a crossroads in your life or in your professional career and you're thinking, I want something more. Because anybody that undertakes or is thinking about undertaking education, it's because they want to grow, they want to enhance their profile, and of course, with an objective in mind, right? And most likely that's why you're here, right? And what I wanted to do is, before talking about the program and what we offer, which is, of course, we consider very valuable, it's also here to deliver a little bit of insight to you and to add value to this webinar so that you can take away and you can reflect upon where you're at and perhaps what you need to do. So in these 10 years plus that we've been running SBI, we've come across 4 pillars that we believe, if the candidates enhance, they're going to accelerate their path, they're going to optimize their opportunities, and they're going to build the foundation for success. And it's summarized into these 4 points. Number 1, first thing is having an in-depth industry knowledge. Why? Well, because if you're in a position where you want to work in football, but you don't have the industry knowledge, you don't have the in-depth information, which is very different from knowing as a passion for football, knowing the stats and knowing, the game itself, and perhaps reading upon the business of it. It's very different when you have inside information from the industry professionals that can tell you what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, what's happening, what are the trends. And the more you know that, and the more you're prepared to understand, say, for example, you're in a marketing role and want to move into the football industry. Well, one of the key areas in marketing is sponsorship. So if you don't know how to prepare a sponsorship proposal, if you don't know what's included, if you don't know how it's negotiated, if you don't know what are the terms, obviously you're going to be in a disadvantageous position when you apply for those roles. So that's just one example. And of course, if we talk about operations or finance or digital or, on the performance side, whatever it may be, if you lack the knowledge, you're going to be in a disadvantageous position. So the first recommendation I would say to all of you listening in tonight is find out where you're at that stage. And perhaps you can do a little bit of a checklist and rate yourself out of 10 and say, okay, well, how much knowledge do I have? And perhaps some of you have more or less because of different experiences or courses, or many of you perhaps are already in football. At this moment in time, I don't necessarily know your background, but we will know about it if you do want to, obviously find out and get to know each other, get to know us a little bit more. So one exercise that I would say is perhaps try to rate yourself out of 10 where you're at. So the first one is industry knowledge, as I said. Secondly, in any sector, you need to have a network. You need to have relationships. But in football, even more so. Why? Well, because football, to this day, is still very much a very closed environment, especially at the elite level where there's so much money at stake. It's not everybody that will open the door for you because they need to trust who you are. They need to know what your agenda is or what your objectives are. And if you don't have those connections, many times it's much more difficult to get ahead, and it takes a lot of time. So one of the things that I would say to you at this moment listening in is think about how your relationships stand right now with people in the industry in football. And if you don't have that network, you really need to start building it. You need to start creating those relationships. And it's hard, especially if you reach out to people cold and they don't know who you are. It takes time. It really does take time. And I know that firsthand because I don't come from the football industry. Perhaps it's a moment where I'll talk a little bit more about my background a little bit later on in the webinar if we have some time. But I don't come from the football industry. I started SBI with a vision and an objective and a passion to be involved in football. And I'm very happy to say that 10 years down the road, we're collaborating with the likes of top elite clubs and professional footballers, etc. Why am I saying this? Well, because you don't need to have the network now, but you do need to build it if you want to open doors, if you want to build relationships. And the reality is that if you look at vacancies here at SBI, maybe but we publish a list of all the vacancies that we can find every month in the football industry. And we share that with our community as something that we want to give as value. And the reality is that most clubs don't publish their vacancies and their jobs. But there are many opportunities. So where are they? Well, it's with relationships. It's with recommendations. It's with someone saying, hey, he's a really great professional. You should think about him. And many times the jobs are filled in that manner, more so than applying via just a regular CV. Of course, there's opportunities like that, but many times it's through building that network and those relationships. Last 2 points, and I don't want to delay it too much, but specialization and clarity. Many times people come to us and say, well, I want to work in football. And then we talk to them a little bit more and say, well, where would you see yourself? And they say, well, I don't know. I see myself here, but I also see myself here, and I consider this and that. And that's great. But if you really want to start focusing, excuse me, it's like when you put the GPS in your car, right? When you want to go from point A to point B. If you have that roadmap, if you have that clarity, you're going to get there faster than if you don't have the route. But sometimes people say, well, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to begin. And that's where you need experts. That's where you need some mentorship. That's where you need some guidance so that you can have and make the right decisions when you come to those crossroads where you're able to rely on people that can help you. So that's another area that I would say that if you haven't really thought about it, try and think where you see yourself and try to get clear on it, and also try and see who can help you. And then obviously the last point, first-hand experience. Obviously someone who's worked in football or has worked at a club or has worked at a league or has worked in a sports organization is going to have a better chance of applying for another job in the industry than someone who's coming in without that experience. This is not to say that you cannot transfer your skills from another sector. Absolutely. Especially when you look at the business side of football, which is a business. So they require professionals in football that have experience in finance, in marketing, in digital, in data, etc. So you can obviously transfer those skills, but it helps a lot if you can put on your CV something that says, well, I've already began gaining experience in an industry such as football, which, as you know, although it's a business like no other, because it has a passion and an emotion that you don't have with an airline, with a toothpaste, with any other product or service, right? Or very few other industries have this. Perhaps the music industry, we could equate to it. But there's very few industries like that where it's about the passion and it's about that emotion rather than, just the simple characteristics of a product or service. So that's why, the football and the sports industry is a different industry than most businesses out there, or business sectors, I should say. Right. So those are some tips. Again, try and do a checklist, and it doesn't have to be a formal checklist, but try and think and, give yourself a scorecard and see where you're at. And based off of that, you'll have better information as to what you need to do to optimize your opportunities. Excuse me, I have a bit of a cough, so I have to take a little bit of a break to drink some water from time to time. Right. So let me talk about how we started the Master in Football Business and Management. Well, essentially, we reversed engineered this program so that we could fill the gaps that our candidates had. And irrespective of where they were coming from, they had different gaps that they needed to fill. And we wanted a program that was catered to a wide array of backgrounds, wide array of profiles, whether they were coming from the football industry or whether they were coming from other sectors or were starting out and wanted to position themselves for success and for opportunities in the football industry. So that's how it started. And what we did is, we created this program, like I said, the profiles that we have here. If you're a recent graduate and want to start, obviously this course can prepare you for that. If perhaps you've already been working in another sector and you say, well, I want to work in football because I know I have a passion and I know I could add value to the industry, but I just don't know how. Well, this program is also aimed at you because you have a lot of transferable skills that you can transition into football if you know how to put them in place and if you have the right roadmap and action plan. Obviously, if you're in football already, we have many professionals that work in football that do this masters. And what they're looking for is to gain more of a general understanding and develop themselves further. So this program, if you enroll in it, as your cohort and as your classmates, it's guaranteed that you're going to have people from the football industry because every year we have people from clubs, from federations that do this master's program. So that enhances the network for those that don't come from the football industry because as your classmates, you're usually going to have, 30-40% of the cohort, depending on the year, is usually from the football industry. And then also, as I said before, many football players are attracted to this program because of its practical nature. I'm going to talk about that a little bit further on, but it's a very practical, hands-on program. Very, very much football industry oriented. This is not a program that is very textbook theory based in the traditional sense of academia. We are very agile with the curriculum. We adapt it to what's happening now. And as you guys know, those of you that follow football closely, things change overnight. I mean, a year ago or a year and a half ago, nobody was talking about NFTs. Nobody was talking about crypto, or if they were, it wasn't the big boom that it is today. So we needed to adapt. We needed to create content and the curriculum to make sure that we provide, opportunities for those people that want to enhance that knowledge, which is where the jobs are right now in football. So this is a course that is very agile, very industry oriented. And I always say this, if you're looking for a degree that you want to move on and do a PhD or you want to move into academia, probably you should sign out right away from this webinar because we don't do that. We're not here to deliver a program that is meant for that. There's plenty of other academic institutions and universities that focus on that do more academic research. And our aim is not that. Our aim is to prepare you from professionals that are working in the football industry today and that have the experience in what's happening so that you come out ready and, have all the opportunities in your hand to move into a career in football as soon as the degree, and in fact, during the degree, which I'll talk about that a little bit later on as well. So think about where you're at today, and if you fit in any of these 4 categories, stick around for the rest of this webinar. If that's not you, well, you're welcome to stay, but perhaps this program is not catered to your profile. Right, so one of the first pillars that we build upon is knowledge. And how do we do that? Well, we bring in the best experts from the football industry. You're going to have as your lecturers, as your speakers, as your mentors, people that work at the highest level and that have had experience working for clubs like Manchester United, FC Barcelona, Bayern Munich, PSG. But not only that, we also have people that work for, in more modest clubs, because not everybody's going to end up with a job at Manchester United or Manchester City or Chelsea or Liverpool or Barcelona or Real Madrid. The reality is that those jobs may be more difficult to get, but there's plenty other agencies, federations, startups, media outlets that you can work within the football industry. So we bring in people from all areas of the football industry to prepare you and give you that knowledge firsthand. So a couple of the people that I'll highlight here, and you can go to our website and you can see the list of previous speakers and the confirmed speakers that we're announcing over the rest of the coming weeks. But one of the guys that I wanted to highlight is Richard Lamb, because Richard Lamb is not only a speaker, he is actually the academic coordinator for the course. So what does this mean? It means that every week when you sign in to the online class, Richard is going to be there. Now, Richard worked in very high executive positions at clubs like Manchester United, Inter Milan, West Ham. Now he's a consultant, business consultant in the football industry and the sports industry. He works with the NFL. He's also, in various academic institutes. But he's going to be there as the key figure during the master. So again, it's not someone that is lacking that experience. It's someone that's been at the highest level, that has seen firsthand these organizations, and of course is going to be there to provide you that support. And then someone that I highlighted here is in our football operations module, it's John Ledwidge. And the reason I highlighted him is because John did the master with us last year. He actually did the program as a student. And obviously when he did it, we thought, wow, this person really is very knowledgeable, and we're learning a lot from him. Not only are we teaching him, but we're also learning from him. So during the year, as we do for all of our students, we build a really solid and good relationship with him. And I asked John, and I said, look, we'd be really delighted to have you back as a guest speaker. And he obviously said yes. So he's going to be teaching a module on football operations, because what he does at Leicester City is he manages all of the pitches for obviously the stadium, training, academies, which is over 50 pitches. He manages a team of over 100 people, and he talks about how to run operations inside a football club. And not just any club, but Leicester City, which is a Premier League club and a Premier League champion, as well as many of you know that Cinderella story from a few years back. I'd invite you to go to our website and download the prospectus, because rather than go through all the names and all the people, you can see that for yourself. But like I said, we have people that worked for FC Barcelona, Chelsea, FIFA, UEFA, the Dutch Federation, the German Federation, CONCACAF, CONMEBOL, and we've had these speakers because we want to make sure that you learn from the best. And that's why we constantly bring in top performers in football that are here to provide value to you. And when they come, they're here to serve, as I said. They're here to deliver their masterclass, but also to answer your questions, to be there to support you. And again, this is part of what we said before, which leads me to the next point, which is the network. So if you're thinking about this master, one of the key things that you're going to come out with is a very solid network. Not just of the speakers and lecturers that are going to be there for you, but like I said before, the cohort itself of students, you're going to build relationships with a group of people that are all like-minded, that are all there to collaborate, and you're going to be, coming out of the master with many relationships. Now, I always say this. If we talk right now, we could probably think about 10% of what you could achieve with a program such as this. But the other 90% is potential that is untapped, that neither I nor you know at this moment. It's a matter of beginning in that journey where you're going to discover that and how that network can benefit you. And the reason I say this is because many students have started the program, have met people as their classmates, and have gone on to create businesses, to get hired at clubs and gain opportunities because of someone in the program or because of a guest lecturer that found their profile, interesting and relevant. So this is a network that you're going to optimize and that you're going to accelerate. Like I said before, if you build it on your own, you can do it. But it's very different connecting with people that you're studying with. And also, not just the people from your cohort, but all the alumni, all the speakers. It's very different when you reach out to someone and say, hey, look, I'm part of SBI. I'm a student of the master, and I saw that you did the master 2 or 3 years ago, and you're working on such and such a club or such and such organization. I can guarantee you that the way that they're going to respond is very different than if you do that cold on your own and they don't know who you are. It's just a matter of connection. It's as though when you talk to someone and they come from the same city as you, right away you have a connection, right? Because you say, oh, we have something in common. Well, same thing here. SBI is a family, and you have that in common when you talk to people that have done our courses, that have guest lectured for us. So you're going to be able to tap into a network that is very strong. And like I said before, that's a key component that you want to optimize if you want to have success. Something that we do that we find is very different from other masters out there is we work on you. And we have personalized mentorship sessions where we find out and we do an exercise which is called a gap analysis exercise. And with every single student of the master, individually, what we do is we say, where are you at today? And where do you want to be? And what's your career objective? Based on that, let's identify your gaps. Because your gaps are going to be very different from someone else's gaps. Say, for example, If you come from another corporate sector and you want to work in football, well, you're going to have the gap of building a network. But someone who's a professional footballer doesn't have that gap because he knows the players, he knows the clubs. So his gap or her gap is going to be around perhaps building more knowledge on the business side because they don't have, or they haven't had the time to prepare that because they've been more focused on the performance in their career. So what I mean by this is the mentorship is personalized, and we do this gap analysis exercise, and it's very valuable because then what we end up finding out through this exercise is, well, how are we going to be able to help you? Because based on the gaps that you have, based on the areas that you need to improve, the mentors, what they do is they create a roadmap with you. And these are the mentors that you're going to be working with. Richard Lamb, who I mentioned before, Julie Ferret, who's worked at clubs like FC Barcelona, Monaco, now a business consultant, and working at the highest level. And you're also going to be working with myself. So the mentorship, what it does is it creates that action plan, that roadmap, that when you finish the master, you come out with an action plan and you say, now I know where I'm going. I have that clarity. And obviously it's not going to be a straight line, and it's not going to be easy in the sense that it's just going to be a guaranteed success. You're going to need to build, your CV. You're going to need to work very hard because you're going to need to prove yourself. But that's why we're going to be there to support you along the way so that you're not alone, so that you're not in a situation where you say, well, how do I do it? You're going to have the support and you're going to have the guidance. And you'd be surprised how much this helps people and it helps them accelerate their career because you save time. When you talk to somebody that has done it, it's very easy to understand how to do it. As in comparison to if you talk to someone who perhaps doesn't know the industry and gives you advice just randomly, or if you do it on your own, just sort of going, one step at a time, which you can do, but it's going to take much, much longer than if you have someone who can create a roadmap, an action plan with you based on your own aspirations, because we're not going to obviously impose anything on you. We're going to find out what you want to do, and based off that, we're going to tell you. Now, the reality is also we're going to talk to you about what we recommend, and based on your strengths, based on your background, we will recommend certain elements, and of course you can take those on. Right, and then of course there's practical experience. We have numerous internship opportunities at football organizations, and if you want an internship, there's an add-on that you can include to your master's program, and we then find different organizations that you apply for so that you can do an internship within a football organization, whether it's a club, a federation, an agency, a media outlet, a sports law firm, a sports representation firm, whatever that may be, we look for that opportunity for you. And then all the projects that you're going to be working with are many times commissioned by football clubs, and if they're not, they're real life scenarios that prepare you for what you're going to face in the football industry. So, like I said before, we're not into the textbook theory. We're into providing cases and letting you, decide and prepare so that when you're there, you're having to act as if. When you're in the classroom, you're having to act as if you were already in those scenarios. And what that does is it prepares you, it gives you the knowledge and the confidence so that when you have to have those conversations with people in the industry, you can show that you're there, that you're prepared, and that you could do the job. Excuse me. Finally, a couple of points, flexible learning. So one of the big advantages that we've had at SBI is that you can do the course from no matter where you're based in the world. What you do is you connect every Thursday night at this same time, 8 p.m. local time in Spain. We have a session for 90 minutes every Thursday. Sometimes there's classes on Wednesday and Thursday, always at the same time. If for any reason you can't attend, all the lessons are recorded, they're uploaded to the online campus, and you can watch them later on. But it's not just a course where you're going to be listening to the speakers and it's just a guest speaker series, so to speak. You also have a very robust online campus where you have cases, articles, reports, tests, different elements so that you come out prepared and do the self-study on your own. Usually, you should be expecting to do 3 or 4 hours of self-study in addition to the live class every week. So about 5-6 hours per week is what you need to dedicate. This is an executive master meant to be done in parallel with other professional or academic commitments. the way we work was we have an online campus, as I said, then you prepare for the classes, you come and do the live sessions and the guest speaking sessions, and then we also have lab sessions. What those are workshops where you actually come and you're not listening into someone, you're actually the protagonist. We provide you a case, and then you have to come out with conclusions, and obviously guided by our team of experts. But what that does is, again, it prepares you, it puts you in scenarios where you're looking at how you can optimize your experience. And then obviously there's assignments, and there's a final project that you have to submit. Now, the final project, the great thing about it is that it's always very much linked to your own career aspirations. So we work on you, we work on your mentorship, and then the final project ends up being something that you can actually use. You come out with a final project that is not just going to be a research project. It's going to be a project that perhaps is a business plan for something that you want to pitch or propose to a certain organization. Perhaps it's a business plan that you want to do with a classmate. So what I mean is the final project is not just going to be an academic project. Yes, of course, it has the academic component where you have to research it, but it's also very practical and oriented so that you can use it as something that when you come out, it's your presentation card. And you say, okay, well, this project is not just something that I did to research for interest. It's actually something in line with my career plan that I'm going to be able to benefit from it. The academic curriculum, well, I won't go module by module because you can see this on the web, but it covers the whole ecosystem of the football industry, whether it's marketing, sponsorships, finance, operations, sporting side performance, digital, data, crypto, women's football, communications, etc. Anything that you can think about what is encompassed in the football industry, we cover in a module, because we want to make sure that whatever your objective is, you're covered. Because there's people that say, well, I don't want to work in finance. Fine, you don't have to be an expert in finance, but you do need to have that module so that you have that general understanding. But you can, of course, prepare more for the marketing or the sponsorship or whatever it may be. But when you come out, basically you come out with a vision of a chief executive. You know all the areas, you know the entire ecosystem. And then when you're looking for your next opportunity, you're prepared. And obviously during the master, you're going to focus more on your area of interest, and we're going to gear your projects and we're going to gear your final project towards that, so that you prepare for what you want to do and you don't just have to cover everything in the same type of percentage. So you can specialize more where you want to go, which of course is what most people want. Again, I won't go through it all, but you can go to our website, you can see all the modules there, and you can check that it's going to be in line with anything and everything that you can expect in the football ecosystem. Now, certification, the diploma. We signed a partnership with an American university in Miami, USA called Florida Global University. There's a picture of their campus. They're based in sunny Miami. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to remain very oriented towards the football industry, but we also wanted to give it that robustness academically. So we decided that we wanted to work with an American university because from a sports business standpoint in the US, they're always one step ahead. If you think of the NBA, the NFL, they're always sort of the benchmark for all the other sports leagues around the world, including football leagues such as the Premier League. So by linking with a university in the United States, we also wanted to create that connection to the North American market from a sports business standpoint, and evidently give it that weight that when you put it on your CV, it's a master's degree recognized by a university, and of course our institute, which we marry the best of both worlds. We bring football. At SBI, we're related to the football industry, but we also wanted to give it that academic weight, that you have a certificate, that you have a diploma that is issued in partnership with a university. And like I said, we strategically chose an American university because of sports business and the market in that sphere in North America. Finally, the program includes a graduation ceremony, an event in Barcelona. It's a 2-day event that we call the Corporate Football Tour. And what we do is you study online for all year, but then at the end, after you present your final projects, we have 2 days in Barcelona where we have a graduation ceremony. We issue your diploma, we have a nice event, but it's not just a graduation ceremony. We also use this to provide you experiences, and we take you inside FC Barcelona. We go to Espanyol, we go to Media Pro, which is one of the biggest sports rights companies in the world. And we create a program around the graduation so that you're not just there to receive your diploma, but that you're there to network, that you're there to create connections and have fantastic experiences, to be able to go into a club like FC Barcelona and have an access to see, you know, the club, or Espanyol, which is the other club in the city. So we take you there, we take you to, like I said, Media Pro, which goes inside the television studios. They talk about sports media rights. So you end up having a 2-day conference, if you will, which is more than just issuing your diploma. And this is included in the tuition fee, excluding, of course, your airfare and your accommodation, but it includes all the visits, the meals, the transportation. So basically, once you arrive in Barcelona, you don't have to worry. We take care of you. Yeah, that's a great experience to meet your cohort and your classmates. And the overwhelming comment that comes out of that event is that people that have studied online for 8 months, when they meet in Barcelona, what they say is, I feel as though I already know you because I've been connecting with you every week, working on assignments, discussing. So people know each other really well. On top of that, we create a WhatsApp group for all the students during the year. So people really create those connections and build those relationships. So it's not just like you're connecting once a week and then you're disconnecting and you come back next Thursday. No, the conversation remains alive through WhatsApp. And I know most of you know the platform WhatsApp, of course, and you know how engaging it is and how fast and how dynamic. So imagine being in a WhatsApp group for 8 months where basically daily you're talking to people. You know, you really get to know them very well. You get to know their personality, you get to know, and everybody's there with the same objective, to help each other out, to collaborate. So, you know, that's why when you come to Barcelona, it's not just a graduation where you're just on your own and you think, oh, I don't know anybody. No, you know everybody because you've been studying with them and you've been working with them throughout the year, and of course with us as well. Finally, the team that prepared this presentation for me put a lot of testimonials. I'm not going to read them out because I don't want to, you know, have this be a session just of us or myself talking about our student testimonials. But I do want to put out a few of them just so you see. And this is based again with where you're at in your career right now. David, for example, which is the student on the left, he did the master last year. He didn't come from football. He came from another sector. And this is what he said after doing the master last year. He just finished in June last year. He said, shortly after graduating at SBI, I got hired at a sports customer data company. So I like to put this because many times people that don't come from football say, well, am I really going to benefit from this? Am I really going to get opportunities? Here's an example of someone that didn't come from football, did the master, shortly after got hired in. Now, is this his dream job? Maybe. But maybe he's looking to work at a football club. Maybe he's looking to work at a federation. But this is his first step. This is how he got in. And when I talked to him, he said, look, I'm really enjoying it. I didn't expect this because my dream was always to work at a club or a federation. But I'm learning so much at this sports customer data company that I'm actually really thinking about moving into this space. So all this to say that the opportunities that you get many times can be very different from what you initially thought. And David is a good example of someone that didn't come from football, graduated, and got hired at a football organization. Rebecca, on the other hand, is somebody different. Rebecca works for Arsenal. She did the master's course 2 years ago. And Rebecca knows the football industry. She works in the communications department as the communications manager at Arsenal. But she wanted to get a more well-rounded vision of the football industry because even though she's had a very high level position at Arsenal, her objective is to move forward and to continue developing herself. In order to do that, she wanted to do a program that allowed her to know more about other areas of football which weren't her specialization. So again, if you're already in the football industry or have some experience, This master will allow you to take you to the next level. Like I said, to give you that CEO vision, that chief exec vision, where you're going to become very knowledgeable on all the areas of football. Now, it doesn't necessarily that you're going to be an expert, but it will give you a very well-rounded profile so that when you want to specialize in a certain area, you know where to hone in and you know where to go. So, again, many of you will say, well, I don't want to become a CFO. I don't want to go into finance. I don't want to know, the numbers in a more financial perspective. But you do need to have a general understanding of that. And that's what we provide in the master. We provide you a very deep understanding in a general manner so that you're able to then have the opportunity to hone in. Right. Okay, a few more here. Well, again, I won't go through them all, but Stephanie finished the course. She's based in Montreal. She got a job at the MLS club in Montreal, formerly called the Montreal Impact, now CF Montreal. Shortly after graduating, she got in. Christian Alert, again, another example of someone that came from another sector, and he specialized and got a job within a football organization. There's Enzio, who is a professional footballer, who again was looking to prepare himself for his future after he retires. And John, who I mentioned earlier, who did the master, and now, as I said, he's going to be a guest speaker next year. A few more. Bobby, a former professional footballer, now working at Peterborough United. Thomas from India, who's also collaborating across different projects in the football industry. And here's someone that we like to highlight as well, because we're very proud. I mean, Wes Morgan is the person that when Leicester City won the title a few years back, as the captain of Leicester City, he was the guy that raised the trophy when it was handed to him as Premier League champions. And he was a student of our master's program 2 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago. I may be getting it mixed up. Anyway, he said, studying a master's at SBI allowed me to gain a full understanding on the business side of football. In many ways, it opened my eyes into the sector that I work in as a professional footballer. They are top professionals, are well connected in the sports industry. So we're super grateful to someone like Wes Morgan giving us this type of testimonial, because, it's not just us saying what we believe is a great program. It's somebody like him who has so many people that know him around the world giving us this testimonial. So what we do is, and this is something that I guess to summarize is, we are recognized for our quality, but we optimize for your success. So whether it's through the network, through the knowledge, through the mentorship, through the experience, everything is meant to be delivered so that you gain value and that you get the best out of it. Now, overview. I haven't talked about the general overview, and this is very small. I apologize for the screenshot. I'll ask our team to make it a little bit bigger next time. But you can see this on our website if you go to sbibarcelona.com, which, by the way, I'll put it in the chat if you guys want to check it out. There's the website, and then you can go and obviously look at the programs. But it's online blended with live classes every week. We use this exact same platform. The only difference is that you're not muted. Today you're muted because, it's more of a session of information. But in these sessions, you can unmute yourself. You can raise your hand virtually, ask questions, enter into the debates that we prepare, the cases. So it's very dynamic and interactive. Like I said, it's a classroom environment. It's not just someone going in, talking, and you sign out. No, there's more to that. There's challenging you. There's putting you in situations where you need to think, where you need to act. And all of it is done through this platform, which allows you to communicate. Obviously, the language is 100% in English. We start October 18th, so we're just about a month away, and we have a few spots remaining. So there's still time to, think about it for your future. The duration is 8 months, with those 2 days at the end in graduation in Barcelona, which, by the way, are optional. You don't have to come. It's not a requirement. Obviously, we recommend that you do. And we'd love to see you in Barcelona, but if you can't because of work commitments, because of travel, because of schedule, that doesn't mean you're not going to get your degree. You get it anyway, obviously, but we very much like to see you here in Barcelona. And then the last point is the fee. It's 6,500 euros all included for the entire year. No additional fees, no additional books, no additional cases, no additional anything. except for that flight and accommodation if you do want to come to Barcelona. That's all included, 6,500 euros. Now, we realize it's an investment. However, if you compare, and probably if you've done your research and your due diligence, and you've seen other programs out there in the market, which by the way are fantastic options. I am a firm believer that every master has something different, and many of them are very great programs. What we find, and obviously we know the market and we know the educational space, we see that 6,500 euros, by no means it's something cheap. It's an investment. You have to really value and know that it's a commitment that you want to do. However, at the different scope and price point of different masters out there that are 20, 30, 40, 50,000 euros, we consider it a very competitive price point, especially with the relation of clubs, players, mentors that you're going to be working with. Like I said, it's not just any random people that come in and teach and don't have the experience. You're going to be learning from top experts who know football inside out, who are working in football today. So obviously that changes the way you learn, and in many ways it takes you away from the traditional academic type of learning that maybe you've done in your undergraduate degree, if you have one. So it's different. It's an environment where you're going to be thrown into the fire, working again as if you're already in the industry, and that's what we want to do to prepare you. So I'll say this again: if you're thinking about moving into academia, if you want to do a PhD, if you want to move into that space, this is not the program. There's many great programs in the market for that, not ours. Ours is learning from people from the industry, learning from executives in football, working with cases specifically about the football industry. So you're not going to be working with just any random business cases. They're all related to the not just sports, but the football industry. And of course, we benchmark of some other organizations. But the reality is that, people that come out of it, they say, it's as if I wasn't studying, because it's their passion, right? So that's what we want to do. Finally, just one more point, and I see Jacob, you have your hand up. I'll let you have the question, and I'll unmute you so that you can ask your question. But if you want to look at what we have and you want to learn more about how to apply, go to sbibarcelona.com. Check out the Master in Football Business and Management, and you're going to see there the admission procedure. I'll just run through that very quickly, and then we move into your questions. So it's a very simple application process. You go to our website. There's a blue button at the top right which says Enroll Now. You click on that, and it's going to give you a registration form where you fill out, just very general information, and you select the course from the drop-down menu. Then you have to pay an application fee of 120 euros and submit your CV and cover letter. So sorry, I didn't mention this before. It's 6,500 plus the 120 application. That said, our academic board reviews the candidatures normally within 5 business days, or sometimes even less, just because we're very close to the start date now. We usually are reviewing candidatures twice per week from the different candidates that come in. Now, just because you apply doesn't mean you're going to be accepted, because we very carefully select the cohort. We'd rather have a cohort of 18, 20 selected students than 30 just because they applied, because we believe that the cohort is what makes the master, and everybody adds value based on their experience. So you do have to apply. We do make that selection process. You send in your CV, you send in a motivation letter where you state why you want to do this program and why you feel you will add value to the rest of the cohort. You send this in, we look at it, we evaluate it, and then we give you a decision. If for any reason you are not accepted, you get the 120 euros back. This is something that practically no other academic institute does. Most people, when you apply, or most institutes where you apply, you apply and you're whether you get in or not, that fee is something you invest. We don't believe in that. We believe in a no-risk application. So if for any reason you're not accepted, you get your 120 euros back. So you don't risk anything in applying. So that's what we always say to people, because sometimes people ask, well, I don't have an undergraduate degree. Okay, yes, it's true that we normally request an undergraduate degree, but it's not something that is gonna discard your candidature off the bat. We will evaluate it because many times people have very valuable experience, whether it's from the football industry or other sectors, and just because they don't have the university undergrad doesn't mean that we want to, not allow them into the program. I mean, let's not go any further. Someone like Wes Morgan, all his life he's been preparing to play at the elite level in football. So that meant that he stopped his education and his schooling pretty early on. So he didn't have an undergraduate degree when he applied. But the person the West brought in obviously a wealth of experience being involved in the Premier League as a professional footballer. So evidently we accepted him. And not just Wes Morgan, a Premier League player. There's many people that say, well, look, I've been involved in this sector and I know a lot about communication and I've worked at, someone recently sent us an email and he said, I've been working 14 years as a journalist in my country, working in the football industry, but I don't have the qualification. I never studied to be a journalist. I don't have the degree, but I've been working. So, excuse me. So obviously someone like that is very valuable to us. And you don't have to have 14 years of experience. If we think that you can add value, you're going to have a shot at getting in. If for any reason you're not, we're going to give you feedback and we're going to say, look, this year you're not accepted because of this and that, and here's your 120 euros refund. So that said, let's move on to your questions. I've talked too much and I want to hear from you. So Jacob, you can either type your question or if not, I'll unmute you because it's probably going to be easier if you just ask your question. So really glad to have you here, Jacob. Let me know if you can unmute your mic and I'd love to hear your question. I think we have your mic on. Let's see. For some reason, I'm not hearing your question, Jacob. So I see that your mic. There we go. I got you now. Yeah, I got your sound.
Good evening, Diego.
Hey, Jacob.
Good evening. Please, I wanted to. Can I speak with you personally?
You want to ask a question? Yeah, go ahead.
Like, I want to speak with you personally outside the class.
Okay. So what I suggest is you send an email to my address. I'll put it here. Okay. So there's the address. So send me an email, Jacob. Is there anything else that you want to talk about now? I mean, like while we have the opportunity, maybe we can talk personally if you have something specific, but if there's anything in general that you want to talk about now, it's a good opportunity and most people will also maybe have some of the same questions that you have.
Yeah, I really like what you're doing. I've been following for a period of time now. And it's very, very interesting.
Great. Well, thank you for the feedback, Jacob. If you don't have a specific question, then that's absolutely fine. I mean, we can talk on a more personal note. If you want to ask anything, whether it's about the program, whether it's about your own career path and where you're at today, doesn't necessarily have to be about specifics about the master. I'm going to be here for another 10-15 minutes, so take advantage of that, and if I can help you in any way as to how to guide you and how to provide any advice based on my expertise doing this for over 10 years, I'd be happy to do that and happy to remain logged on here for any specific questions that you may have. Right, so let's have a look here. I think there's a question from Sam. Sam, do you want to come on and let me know? Are you available to speak, Sam? If I bring you on, that way we can get to know a little bit more about you. I'm going to unmute you or request to unmute, and let me know if you're able to speak. It'd be really great to hear you personally and learn more about who you are.
Hello.
Hello, Sam.
Hi there, yeah. I just wondered what the general success rate was for your students getting a job in football after completing the course. Myself, I've got plenty of years of experience, but not within the football sector. Obviously, it's the kind of job that you'd be willing to travel to to get into. I just kind of wondered, given the investment in the course, and myself, I'm middle-aged, so I'm above 40 at the moment. So it's a case of what's the likelihood is of trading off 10 years, 15 years worth of management experience against this course and moving into a new sector essentially with transferable skills.
Right. Let me ask you a couple more questions and then we'll talk about more of the stats. So Sam, what sector are you in? What have you been working in the past years in the corporate world?
Generally, it's within marketing and social media. So looking to transfer that across into the football sector.
Right. And where are you based? Where are you working?
I'm based in Manchester.
Based in Manchester. Okay. Nice. Okay, fantastic. Well, look, there's statistics that we have out there, and the percentages vary, year in, year out. This is what I'll tell you that is the reality of, in a nutshell, what you can expect. A lot of the people that do this master go on and have success. Sometimes it's not, from one day to the next, as you obviously know, but they will go on and have success. And like I said, these are cases that show that. I don't have the exact number, but last time we did a report on this and we did an audit and we did the statistics, I think it was around the 60-70% mark.
Okay.
Why do those 30 people don't go on and have success? Because any institute that guarantees 100% success is something that I would question. But the people that don't necessarily end up having the success is the people that perhaps didn't put in the work, didn't put in the clarity, and perhaps threw in the towel too soon.
Okay.
That said, the other 65-70%, what they did is they followed our advice, they had a roadmap, they had the clarity, and the great advantage of a course such as this is that you don't have to risk it all and say, well, look, I'm going to have to take a year of sabbatical or an absence from work for a year to do a master's, on site. So what this allows you to do is that it allows you to, in parallel, begin building your path. And there's always a trade-off, because you may say, well, no, I'm more experienced. I think you said you're late 30s, 40s.
Yeah.
And we get the same question the other way around. We get people that say, well, I'm young and I don't have corporate experience. And it's a trade-off, because obviously the young people, they have a lot of time. They have a lot to give and they can do internships and they have that time, but they lack the experience. Someone like yourself working in marketing and social media for several years, these are transferable skills that, with the right approach, with the right career plan, and with the right preparation, I'm not going to say that it's guaranteed, but you will have chances of success, and you're going to be working in parallel to what you're already doing. So are you currently working, Sam, or are you sort of in transition? And what's the situation?
Yeah, I'm currently working.
You're currently working. Well, what this allows you to do is it allows you to start building on your path without necessarily having to, like I said, quit your job. Now, that's going to take some time. And the way we normally work and the way we know is the way forward to have success is to have an action plan and to set timelines and goals that are realistic. So if you say to us, well, I want to get a job as soon as I graduate, sure, we can work with that time frame. But if you require a little bit more experience, if you require a little bit more specialization, maybe you need to give yourself 18 to 24 months, depending on how much you want to accelerate that. And then knowing that there's a path where you're going to have to put in work, and you're going to have to put in more work than people that are with some experience in football. So it is a process where it's going to take some effort, and we always say it's a transformative experience when you do this master, because you're going to be challenged. You're going to be put outside your comfort zone, and you're going to have to work double in the sense that you're going to have a full-time job and you're going to have to be doing this course. That said, been done and it's been prepared so that you can do it, so that it's feasible. But you're gonna find that it's gonna drive you. It's gonna be something that's gonna motivate you, because once you have the clarity of where to go and how to do it, then it's just a matter of putting in the heavy lifting. So to summarize your question is, I would say that right now we could talk, like I said before, we could talk about 10% of the potential that this course may offer you, but the other 90% is, at some point you're going to have to, if this is really something that you want to, move forward with, at some point you're going to have to start on that journey, whether it's through a master's or whether it's on your own. But that's where I would say that we come in and we provide the value, and we help our students out. So not sure if that answers your question, or if that's something that you're still on the fence about, investing in education for something that obviously is not guaranteed, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know you mentioned before about the value of networking. In terms of contacts into clubs, is that something that you guys help out with potentially as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we do, and this is why I was saying that we work with our case-by-case scenario, because rather than saying, oh yeah, well, we're going to give you an internship here or there or whatever, we don't believe in that, because you may have short-term success, but it's not going to be long-standing. So what we do is we do this gap analysis with every student, and based off that, that's when we begin working, and that's when we begin turning the wheels and say, okay, let's say you want to transition, and for the sake of hypotheticals, that you want to transition and do the same type of work that you're doing now in the football industry. So what we would do in your case is we would say, okay, let's start thinking about how we can help Sam and optimizing his network. So we'll say, okay, he wants to work in social media. Who do we know in communications and social media at certain football clubs? Let's put them in touch. Let's see what they can do. Let's see how they can help them. Give you a real life example of what happened in one of our cohorts a couple of years ago. We had someone from the Middle East who did the master's, who wasn't from the football industry, but he was a business guy. He wanted to put a football academy in the UAE. We did this same exercise with him. We did the mentorship, we did the gap analysis, and we identified, and we said, look, we know a lot of academy directors, and we know a lot of people that have done this. Let's put you in touch. To make a long story short, we had a contact from a club in Scandinavia who had done the exact same thing and implemented a model for an academy in the junior ranks, and also looking at it from a private standpoint. And we said, look, we'll put you in touch with him and see where that leads. Again, to make a long story short, they got in touch, they started collaborating, they started working. He then sent him some information and some manuals as to how he could get started. And this person eventually opened up an academy in the UAE, a lot of it based on this club from Scandinavia. But the connection, and that's where we believe we add our value, we're connectors, came from knowing that that's what he wanted to do. So rather than saying, okay, yeah, you're going to have a network and we're going to, give you these sessions where you're going to meet people, and yeah, that's all great. But if it's not in line with what you want to do, so that's where we really focus on trying to help. And that's what I was saying before. Our success depends on the success of our students. So if we're not there, if we're not giving that value, and I always say this, we're here to serve anybody who does our master's program. Yes, we're an institute and we're positioned and we have the contacts, but we are here to serve our students, and we have that very clear. So anybody, and I'd encourage you to go on LinkedIn, find some alumni. I can recommend you some, but obviously you may think, well, I want to do it on my own. Go online, talk to people that have done this master, get some referrals or some feedback. And one of the things, the overwhelming comment that you're going to see is, not only did I enjoy it and did I learn, they treated me in a customized manner. And we help and we provide 50%. The other 50% comes down to you. And we say, look, these are the contacts. This is what you should do. This is where you should be reaching out. And then, it's bound to the individual to put in the work and to do it. And if you do, you're going to have doors that are going to open up. So, and most people end up doing it because obviously they invest in themselves, right? So that's how we work with our students. We customize and do an individual analysis, and in many times it has the doors to success. Obviously, it's not always the case where it's the same result, but if we put you in touch with different people, hey, you never know if your email is kind of coming at the right time where someone is looking for someone, or where you're going to be able to start a project. There's many people that have done the course that their objective was, and a lot of them, sometimes their objective is to be an agent. And then when they finish, they end up doing something completely different. And there's been a couple of them that initially wanted to be agents. And a lot of times people who don't necessarily know how to enter the industry, it's the first thing that comes to mind. So when we talked to them, we said, okay, well, if that's what you want to do, we'll help you. But learning more about their background, we ended up seeing, well, no, that's not necessarily where they really want to go. And that's not probably where they're going to succeed. So they ended up working more on a marketing project, and two of them began a marketing agency and created a business. So again, not to say that this happens all the time, but in a customized approach, there's more chances that we hit on the right contacts and the right relationships for you to have, better chances of optimizing your path. Now, Sam, where would you see yourself? I mean, what would be your dream job in football? If someone came in with a magic wand tomorrow and said, look, wherever you want to work, you're going to be there in the position or the role or the area. Do you have this clear now, or is this something that you're still exploring?
No, I'd like to go via head of to director marketing level.
Okay. And is there, like, you'd like to work at a club? Is it more on a federation, or you're open to working with brands, sponsors, etc.?
I'm quite open, but I'd like. I mean, I hadn't considered a federation, to be honest with you. I just thought of clubs, but clubs or federations, brands, not so much.
Right. Okay. I mean, what we would do in your situation as a student is we'd look at that analysis and say, okay, well, if that's where you want to go, if that's where you want to be at, and you're and you want to be in a marketing role, hey, here, and especially in marketing, we have a lot of contacts. We'd say, look, why don't you get in touch with this person? Why don't you get in touch with that person? And obviously, we'll make the connection. We'll make the first step. We'll introduce you, and then after that, if you need some additional help, or if the relationship didn't necessarily go the way you wanted, in the sense that, oh, perhaps it was not necessarily the right area, we'll try again, and we'll focus on providing more opportunities. So as far as network is concerned, and as far as what I said before, the family concept, it works really well, because that's, any business is a human business. You may have the big brands, and I've learned this along the way myself. Like I said, I didn't come from the football industry. I started off without any contact, without any relationships, and I did it the hard way. I mean, I took the long road. But what I mean by this is, sometimes I glorified, especially early on when I was younger, and saw football as this romantic thing, which it still is to this day to me. But what I mean by this is, sometimes you think about the big brands, the FC Barcelonas, the Manchester Cities, and the FIFAs, and then once you're in the industry, you realize that, yes, those are the brands, but if you really want to have success, you need to know the people there. It's about human relations, and you probably know this in your field as well, Sam. It's about the people, and if you're able to build relationships with people, and if you're able to have those connections, opportunities are going to come. And if you're there to add value, if you're there to, and this is something else that we prepare you for, we flip everything around, because normally what people do when they do a program such as this is they say, I'm going to prepare myself, I'm going to get myself a piece of paper, they're going to give me all the network, and I'm going to have a job. Yes, that's part of it. But a lot of it is, how are you going to add value to them? What's in it for them that you offer? And that's the key, flipping the coin. And the more you start thinking about, how am I going to add value to them without them even knowing who I am? And the more you start taking on that approach, you're going to see that things transform for you, because the approach is normally the other way around. And this is, I like to have an analogy when we do the personal development with each student, that we work on the mirror and the window. And what I mean by this is, most people tend to focus on the marketplace. What jobs are available? What are the trends? How am I going to send my CV? How am I going to prepare and look at what my objectives are? That's great. But the other part is the mirror. What do I lack? What don't I have? What are my gaps? Have I really thought about this? Have I been self-reflective? Have I done this introspection? And most of us don't do it because life gets in the way and we don't have time to think. And if we do, sometimes it's not an exercise that we enjoy doing. But if you're doing it in a program where you have to be accountable and where you have to really think about it, you're going to learn so much about yourself. You're going to learn so much about the areas that you need to work on and that you need to improve on. But the great advantage is that you're going to have a team there that is going to support you and guide you and help you along the way. You're not doing this on your own. So we always work with the mirror and the window analogy because it's just as important to know the market as it is to know yourself. And in this type of course, you're not only going to learn about the industry, but you're going to learn about you. You're going to learn about how you need to improve, and not just in the hard skills, sometimes the soft skills as well. And we work with you on that. And once you have that, it's like you have the key. And then obviously it's hard work, and especially if you don't come from the football industry. And I always say this, be prepared to put in twice the work. But if you do it, you're going to have success. And, you know, that's how we built SBI. We've worked very, very hard to start it from scratch. We didn't start with an investor. We didn't start with any connections with football. It was an idea I had because, much like many of you who are listening in tonight, I did a master's in sports management here in Barcelona about 15 years ago. And when I finished that master's, I really enjoyed it. But I thought, I would have liked to have done it more in football. I would have wanted to be a football specific course because that was my passion. And this master that I did was for anybody that wanted to, you know, manage a gym or a municipal pool, etc. And that wasn't my interest. So when I finished, I thought there must be more people like myself. So I came from a corporate background in training. So I had done a lot of education, training for multinationals, nothing to do with football. But I thought, how am I going to mix my passion with the transferable skills that I had? And initially I started applying for jobs. I wanted to do, you know, work in different organizations. And then afterwards I thought, maybe I shouldn't be focusing on that. But I did this introspection on my own, and it took a lot of time, and it took a lot of, you know, highs and lows. But eventually I said, look, I have a passion for people. I have a passion for education and training and giving back my knowledge. And of course I have a passion for football. How can I match that? And that's when the idea sprung about SBI. And that's when I said, I have to build an institute and I have to start. And initially I started with some short courses. I started bringing some executives. And like anything in life, once you start building and setting foundations, then when you work with someone, you can then, as your next step, say, look, I've already worked with such and such and such and such. And you start building and you start creating. And here we are today, 10 years on at SBI. Not to say that we're, you know, where we want to be. We have many more ambitious objectives to help more our students. But what I mean by that is it came from a lot of introspection to create SBI and to found it. So you're probably at that crossroad yourself, Sam, where you may think, well, how do I take that to the next level? Sorry, I didn't mean to, you know, go off too much on that, but hopefully that helped out and provided you a little bit more context, Sam. Right. If there's any more questions, please feel free to type them in the chat box. I'm going to try and expand here in the chat box and see. From Ponga. Ponga says, what month does the academic year begin and how long is the whole course? So Ponga, it starts October 18th. So we're starting next month. And the course has a duration of 8 months. So basically every Thursday night from October 18th till the end of May, beginning of June, you should block off on your calendar because every Thursday night at 8 p.m. we have a class. Then you have the self-study component, which you do on your own. And many weeks we also have class on Wednesday. So depending on the calendar, you know, that's how it works. So hopefully that answered your question. So Ponga, I don't know if you wanted to ask anything further. I'll just unmute you, but I've covered the more basic question. So feel free to go ahead, Ponga. I hope you can have your mic unmuted.
Hi. Yeah, a little bit low, but I wanted to find out if it's possible to have a payment plan where you can pay in 2 installments, or it all has to be paid up front at
Good
once.
question. Good question, and I'm sorry because I didn't mention that, and I should have. Yes, we do have the opportunity to pay in 2 installments. So you pay at the beginning when you apply and secure your spot before October 18th. And then you have, we normally give 5 or 6 months to do the next payment. So you pay half the course upfront, and then 6 months down the road or 5 months down the road, we'll have to get our team to provide you the exact payment dates. But you do have those 5, 6 months to, relieve some of that financial burden, and then after that you make the next payment afterwards. So yeah, that's normally the way we approach it. But would that be something that would you'd be looking for, Ponga?
Yeah, I think two installments works better for a lot of people than one lump sum.
Sure. Where are you based, Ponga? And if I may ask, what's your background and what do you do?
I live in Zambia and I'm the CEO of a Premier League football club.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. And how's the team doing? First thing. Oh, I guess you're disconnected.
Yeah.
Are you there? Yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought you had gone.
Sorry, the audio is a little bit low, so I'm not hearing you too well. It
Oh,
just went
sorry.
low when you put on the mic. I don't know what happened, but it's just gone a little bit low.
Oh, okay. Sorry. No, I was just making a little bit of a small talk to find out how your club is doing at the moment. But more importantly, what are the challenges you're facing in the business side, I guess, or the running of the club from a CEO standpoint? What are the main challenges you're finding, and what are you looking to gain from a program such as this if you did decide to apply?
A key area for us is our commercial growth. We have a major sponsor, which is we're a corporate-owned football club. So we are trying to become more and more financially independent so that further down the road, we can be able to stand on our own feet and become a more commercially oriented club. So that's a key thing for us.
And at the moment, if I may ask, please let me know if you're uncomfortable answering this. But at the moment, how large is your team? Who's doing the commercial approach? Is it you? Is it a team that you have, or a person that you have, or how are you looking to expand that growth so that you can have more commercial, more revenue coming into the club?
Yeah, we're relatively small. Management size, there's myself as the CEO. I have about 5 other managers. There's marketing and admin, finance person. We have our technical head. We have a PR department. So we're not that big. We do our own marketing. We do our own commercial ventures. We don't work with an agency. So at the moment, we are working independently and trying to get in as many sponsors as possible. We have one, which is a bank. We're obviously looking in other sectors to bring in other partners in other industries as well.
Interesting. We had a student 2 years ago that was in a very similar position to you, the CEO of a club in Nigeria, but his club wasn't in the top division. It was one division lower. And he did the course precisely because of same reason that you're mentioning. And the reason I asked about the staff and the admin is because in his case, it was around 2 or 3 people that basically ran the club. He had somebody that was dealing more on the sports side, but he was more the guy that was overseeing that. And then he had the challenge of how to optimize more the commercial side. So through the conversations we had in his career development plan, and obviously the guidance with people like Richard and Julie, who worked with commercial departments at football clubs and have dealt with all the different markets around the world, they were able to provide some strategic advice for him. And one of the things that they really leveraged was the use of the club's digital and social platforms to position itself and to attract better brands and better sponsorships, and through hard work they were able to get that done. So sometimes it's it's interesting because you talk to people and you get ideas, and sometimes and again, the challenges that are faced by some of the clubs that don't necessarily have the big budget of the top elite leagues. There's other ways to leverage and go around that. So
Yeah, I think it will be very interesting to look at previous case studies and also see how people from different parts of the world who have similar challenges have been able to respond to them. So I'm quite keen to get on board with the course.
fantastic. No, well, let us know if you want to talk a little bit more on, or send us an email and want to discuss a little bit further. We'd be really, really happy to have more of a conversation, or just on via email if you have any questions. But we'd be delighted to have you on board, Ponga, and as the CEO of a top club in Zambia, I'm sure that you're going to learn so much and make very meaningful connections if you do decide to join us.
Thank you. Pleasure chatting. Cheers.
Thank you, Ponga. All the best. Marco,
Thank you.
sorry I took a little bit longer to bring you on. If you're still there, let me know, and we'll unmute you so that you can come in and we find out a little bit more about who you are and what you do. So let me see if I can bring you on, Marco, and try and have you come in. Okay, yes, you're here. So Marco,
Will do.
we'll probably be speaking, if we continue our conversation in Spanish later on, but in English so that most people can understand us tonight, if that's okay with you.
Yes. I'll do my best. Well, my question was about the price. I'm sorry because I went in the conversation is kind of late. The price, the hours of the classes, the total hours of the classes. I mean the total time that our studies are going to take, and if it's gonna be the classes virtual or presential or a mix. That's my question. And okay. I don't know if I have to talk something about my background or
it'd be great. I mean, that's what we always like to hear. I always enjoy knowing who people are, what they do, because if I can help them in any way, irrespective if they do the course or not, I'm doing this.
That's fine. I'll try. I'm a lawyer in my country. I live in El Salvador, Central America. And I have, as you, I have a master's in sports management. I was the lawyer for 8 years of the Olympic Committee in my country, the National Olympic Committee. Wow. And I have the opportunity to do this study. So also I have a diplomado, a minor title in sports law, with an institute, Mexican institute, that was exposed by a great lawyer, Mexican sports lawyer, Ricardo de Buen is his name. I don't know if you have met him.
No, but the name sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of the most popular or known sports lawyer in Mexico, the capital. So I also I am an athlete myself. I have done a couple of Ironmans triathlon, and I also have played football. But not in a professional way. About 10 years ago, I did. I tried to work with the federation, like a player agent. I did a test, a FIFA test. Sure. But that didn't work out at the end. So that's kind of a brief. But
wow. This is fantastic, Marco, and this is why I love talking to people, because not only am I finding out about what you've done professionally, but the fact that you're an Ironman speaks to your discipline and your commitment. So, hats off to you and congratulations. Sounds like you have
thank you.
some very valuable experience in sports, having worked for the Olympic Committee in El Salvador, having done sports law and having specialized with your different educational programs. So it's really nice to hear about your background. I'm originally from Mexico, even though I've been living in Barcelona for nearly 19 years. I'm originally from Mexico, so yes, obviously I know very well the idiosyncrasy of Central and North America very well. To answer your question, okay, let's start with parts. The course is blended in the sense that you have virtual classes that are live. So we have a platform, we have this same platform that we use, in fact, the Cisco WebEx, and you connect every Thursday, 8 p.m. local time in Spain, which in El Salvador, I'm guessing it's 1 p.m. perhaps. If it's the same time zone as Mexico, it's 1 p.m. 1 in the afternoon. So every Thursday at 1 in the afternoon, we have a class. I'll double check in San Salvador or El Salvador, wherever you may be placed, based at the moment. But 6-7 hours difference, whatever that may be. We connect every Thursday and you have a live class. Okay, and you have an expert that comes and delivers a class every Thursday night live. And you interact, you ask questions, we have cases. It's the same type of scenario that you would envision in an MBA, with the sense that there's not just, you know, evaluating you on a test and memorizing, but it's putting you in situations, making you act as if, and hearing about each and everybody's input, because that's how you really learn about different ways where you can benefit from others' experiences. So we do that every week on Thursdays. Sometimes there's classes Wednesday and Thursday nights. Nights, I'm referring to Barcelona time, 8 p.m. always. If for any reason you can't attend, the classes are recorded, so they're uploaded to the online campus. And then the time that you are required to invest studying is anywhere from 4 to 6 hours per week. So usually you need to review a module online on your own, which includes a couple of cases, a presentation, some reports, some different elements that you have to prepare. And then you have the live class on the Thursdays. You have some assessments and some practical assignments that you have to do. We have the courses divided into 3 terms. So you have 1 major term assignment per term. So you have 3 major assignments in the year, and then you have your final project. So normally you should expect, like I said, anywhere from 4 to 6 hours per week, sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more, during the time of the course, which starts October 18th up until the end of May, beginning of June. At the end of May, beginning of June, we have a 2-day event live in Barcelona, where you come on site, you come to our offices, we do a graduation ceremony. For the past few years, we've done it at the stadium at Español. So we go to the stadium, we do the ceremony there, you get your diploma. But it's not just a graduation ceremony. We also have networking events. We also have visits to FC Barcelona, to MediaPro, to Español. So we create a whole event around it. It's like a mini conference for students, so that when you travel to Barcelona, you're getting the value of a conference, and you're also having your graduation ceremony and dinner. This is all included in the course fee, which is 6,500 euros, all included. There's no additional fees for cases, textbooks, additional academic material. That's all you need to invest. And then there's an application fee, which you need to submit if you want to send in your CV and your motivation letter. You need to pay 120 euros to process the application. If for any reason your candidature is not accepted, that fee of 120 euros is refunded to you. So hopefully that answers the question about the modality. It is an online course, but it's not a course where you're going to be studying on your own and you're going to be doing everything by yourself. Every week you have a class, and I mentioned this before. We create a WhatsApp group for all of the students, so that you connect, you network, and the conversation remains active. So Marco, does that answer the question? Is that all clear? Anything else that you wanted to touch upon? Let me have a look at the chat here. Okay, Marcos is all clear. Fantastic, Marco. Excellent. Well, thank you for the question, and really glad to know you and meet you. And if you need any more information, please feel free to get in touch. It'd be a pleasure to engage and chat with you just on a personal level, especially since we have that connection from Latin America. So it'd be a real pleasure. Gracias, Marco. Un gusto contactar contigo a través de esta reunión. I don't see any more questions. I don't see anybody else raising their hand. So I'll just give you one or two more minutes in case you're still thinking about something that you want to ask. Otherwise, I'll assume that it was all covered or that you want to discuss this on a one-on-one basis. I've left my email, but I'll put the contact information for us here. If you want to send the general information email, you can send it to info@sbibarcelona.com. I'll re-put my email personally in the chat box. I'll retype it, I should say. It's diego.valdez@sbibarcelona.com. Feel free to send me a personal message there. I'll reply. And that said, for everybody that stuck around for all this time, I've gone over, I like to talk. Sometimes I get very passionate about this subject matter because I do have one mission in life, and it's to help professionals get to where they want to be. So sometimes, you know, it oozes out of me when I get a chance to talk to people. So thank you very much. Here's a last slide with the 3 business partners at SBI, myself included in the center. And if we can help you in any way, like I said, irrespective of whether you're thinking about doing the masters or not, get in touch with our team. That's what we're here for. We're here to serve. We're here to deliver value. And if we can do so in any way, we'd be glad to provide that to you. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great night, and hope to hear from you very soon if you want to apply. All the best. Take care.